It's Wednesday, January 23rd, 2008. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. And you're listening to Keepin' It Real. Very good afternoon to you all across the country, and good morning to all of our West Coast listeners. Welcome also to you listening by internet or on channel 169, The Power, wherever you are around the country and even various parts around the world. Well, we got a lot for you today. I want you to stay tuned and stay tight, as we say, because we're going to talk today about the Brown-Black Coalition, blacks and Latinos. We keep hearing about it. Where is the difficulties arising? Where are there common ground? We see in Nevada, the majority of the Latino voters voted for Miss Clinton against Obama. Some are saying now the black vote, overwhelmingly we're going for Obama. What will that do? And does it matter? And is it repairable in the fall? I'm going to be talking to media personality, journalist, and one of the co-leaders of the Young Lords. In the 60s and 70s, we had the Black Panther Party and the Young Lords. And this brother was one of the leaders of the Young Lords in New York. Subsequently, he's become a journalist and media personality. And I'm going to be talking to him, Felipe Luciano. Felipe Luciano will be our guest to talk about the challenges, I'll put it that way, facing the Black-Brown Coalition. Gonna take a break. When I come back, the challenges of a Black-Brown coalition. Does it exist? Can it exist? Did it ever exist? Let's talk real talk about it. This is the right show for it. We keep it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we are back. I have in studio to me a brother that is legendary in activism, and a brother that I've known as long as I've been an activist. And he's one of the founders and leaders of the Young Lords, and he has, subsequent to that, has become an outstanding journalist and media personality and continues as an activist. And in the middle of all of the political climates of the day, there's the question of the Black-Brown coalition. I want to talk about the broader ramifications because there's been now tensions, not only with a lot of Latinos not voting for Obama, but before that, fights about immigration, fights about who's taking whose spot. So I want to have a frank, blunt discussion about the Black-Brown coalition. One, did it ever exist? If it did, at what levels? What has happened? And how do we build one if we can? And I don't know anyone that could be more candid, more honest, sometimes too honest, brutally frank, than the guest I have in studio, and that's Felipe Luciano. How you doing, Felipe?
I'm very well, Reverend. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you. And you can join the conversation from around the country at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back. Let's start back and come forward. We're in the 60s, let's say. Even before I became involved, I was a kid in the 60s. There was the late 60s, early 70s, the beginning of a Black Power movement in the African-American community and the Black Panther Party and others. And mirroring that, the Young Lords. You involved. Tell me how that time was, how you got involved, and then how did those organizations relate to each other, if at all?
It was 1964. I had gotten arrested for a gang fight, went to jail, came out, and it was in jail that I developed black consciousness, if you will. Most Puerto Ricans who were growing up during that time knew they were Puerto Rican, but rarely had any sense of the political negritude that we speak of today. It was a guy, a young Muslim named Diablo, who started getting me very hip.
He was in jail?
He was in jail with me. Mm-hmm. And I will now say publicly that it was black Muslims. It was black men in jail who gave me a sense of identity. Not that I didn't have one in terms of the cultural sense of what it is to be an African, but it took, because that's my grandmother, my mother, my father, but political consciousness, and we have to make a distinction. You can be cultural. And very often black and Latino people get caught. We dance mambo, we eat mofongo, we do, we're into the seven gods and all that, but that doesn't mean that we're politically conscious of being Africans. And that causes clashes between. Anyway, I come outside 1967, I see what's happening. And when you come out of jail, there's very little visceral fear you have of any individual. I come out, I start organizing underground. I start a group, I go into a group on 125th Street. My mother's living on 125th Street. I've always been brought up with African Americans. Mm-hmm. Very simple. All my second mothers are from Beaufort, South Carolina, Charleston. So we grew up in this city on the eastern coast with black folk.
Right.
Southern black folk. Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. I'm a Carolinian, basically.
Right.
Once you get west of the Mississippi, you deal with the Mississippi, Alabama, that kind of stuff, the Delta folk. So now I come out and I start the Last Poets. I go into the Last Poets. So poetry with Garland Kane and Albie O'Doon and David Nelson leads me into another form of black consciousness. I start teaching black history in the East Wind. Now rappers come into my courses, Stokely's come to my courses, and then some Puerto Ricans from the west side, from the east side, Mickey Melendez and David Perez and Denise Oliver come over to say, why don't you help us join this organization? I said, y'all not ready for this kind of stuff. Y'all not ready for it. Sure enough, Kane and Rap Brown, blessings be upon his name, because he was a tremendously gifted activist, told me, you got to go back home. You've done it here in terms of consciousness. So I go back to 112th Street, from 125th Street, co-found the Young Lords, asked Bobby Seale, since you're doing the Black Panthers, why don't you let me do the Brown Tigers? He said, Negro, you must be out your mind. He said, we're catching hell being Black Panthers. You want to do the Brown Tigers? He said something very interesting. He said, do that which is conducive to your community. Don't just follow us. So we went into the Young Lords, found Cha-Cha Jimenez on Chicago, who had gotten together the same way I had developed consciousness, got together with Fred Hampton and started the Young Lords in Chicago. From that, we took a charter. So you started the Young Lords in Chicago? The Young Lords were started officially in Chicago.
Fred Hampton, for people that don't know, was the head of the Black Panthers in Chicago.
In Chicago. One of the most brilliant organizers. Yes.
In his bed.
Assassinated.
That's correct. Okay, go ahead.
So we start here, and in 67, I started organizing underground. We come above ground in 69, Reverend Al, and quiet as is kept. The leadership of the Young Lords Party, 3 of them were Afro-Puertorriqueans. Now, that didn't ever happen before in the history of this nation. Now we move to the next level, and we realize that we have 1/3 of our party as African American, and we begin to talk about the independence of Puerto Rico, which you know very well about because you supported Vieques.
Right.
And by the way, I'm gonna say it now, so that let's put this, be as frank. You sound brutally frank.
Right.
I was very upset that after you took a stand, and while Vieques has been on our pallets for the last 100 years, you came out and made a stand for Vieques. You feel me, Reverend?
Uh-huh.
Went to jail for it, and they left your behind in. Now, Puerto Rican, and I'm going to say it up front, I love, you know how I stand on Puerto Ricans. We've had many discussions about this.
Right.
But for them to have left you in the joint and for many people to just split and not to support you, we had to, Reverend Y.T. Walker and I were out there, but it's like Puerto Ricans said, well, he didn't have to do anything. He could have just left it there. But they got on you, we feel, because America said, what is a black man doing supporting Puerto Rican rights? Oh, no, we're not going to have this. And that coalition was broken right there. It was also broken with Herman Badillo when we went with him for mayor in this town.
Right.
And black folk in Manhattan, the black political superstructure, said we don't want a Puerto Rican before a black mayor. That hurt us very badly also.
We're going to get into where it broke, where it is now. Is there a difference between Mexicans on the West Coast and Puerto Ricans on the East Coast?
It's superficial, but it's a difference.
And what's happening today. And then how do we fix it?
Amen.
Can we fix it? We'll be right back. Felipe Luciano, the Black-Brown Challenge. You can join the conversation, 1-877-532-5797. Keeping it real, Sharpton. We'll be right back. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. We're talking with Felipe Luciano, political activist and journalist, media personality. Felipe, you outlining how the Young Lords, Black Panthers kind of started, kind of worked together in the 60s. Then you said we started running the problems. When I went to jail in the early 90s for Vieques, I did 90 days. The Latinos did 40.
And nobody said anything.
No, not for the 50 days I left.
No, they did not.